following program is brought to you in living color.
You are listening to The Liberal Grouch.
People, all going somewhere, all with their own thoughts, their own ideas, all with their own personalities.
Ever since I was a child, all I've ever wanted to be was a journalist, to write stories, to be on the radio, to be an observer of the human condition. Throughout my professional life, in radio, newspapers, and as a writer with the federal government, I've been true to the journalistic ethic of telling the truth, of being accurate, of trying to tell both sides of the story. But I've learned there are people who don't want their story told. In fact, they will do anything to keep you from telling their story. Individually, they are weak, small people who hide in the dark. But when they form a pack, they become dangerous. Not just to the individual trying to tell their story, but to the very concept of a free press. They want their side of the story told, not the full story. And when a strong, honest, progressive voice comes along, one who captures the ears of honest people, it frightens them. It makes them crazy.
Hold the string. Dance to that which one is created for.
They will do whatever they have to do by whatever means necessary to silence that voice, either through legal means or other means. The only thing necessary for evil to succeed is if good people do nothing. I choose to do something. I will stand in the face of this wolf pack of right-wing lunatics until I am either silenced by legal means or until they kill me. They will need to find either some way to throw me in jail for telling the truth, or else there will be blood on the microphone.
Greetings, friends and neighbors. This is Bill Schmalfeld. Thank you for joining us today here on this Wednesday, April 29th, 2015. I'm Bill Schmalfeld. I am the Liberal Grouch, and first I must apologize for the quality of yesterday's podcast. By the time I noticed the problem, it was too late to do anything about it. What I wanted to do was take one small snippet of a track and turn it into a delay echo sort of thing. So last night I goes to bed like I always does, and I tuned in the podcast to put myself to sleep. And I hear that the entire track, not the whole show, but just one track out of a 4-track recording, has got that delay thing going on. And there are significant portions of this pre-recorded podcast that were on that track. So that was just unlistenable, and it was unpardonable, and I have no excuse for it. I should listen to these things more carefully before I put them on the air. Anyway, that being said, again, I'm sorry. You can reach the Liberal Grouch anytime you'd like on Twitter at Old Grouchy Lib. That's at Old Grouchy Lib. My regular website is liberalgrouch.blogspot.com. My Podomatic website is liberalgrouch.podomatic.com. The show can also be heard on Spreaker Web Radio. There's a copy on SoundCloud, YouTube, wherever quality podcasts can be heard. Today we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in Baltimore. But first, I saw this headline this morning, and it sort of made my heart go aflutter for just a moment. It was on the Hogwash blog, HOGEWASH.com, the man's name being WJJ Hoge. And the headline is, at WJJ Hoge, RIP. And my heart stopped for a moment until I read the rest of it. The Twitter account, not me. I'll have to read this in my Hoge voice. Team Kimberlin finally managed to kill off the original Twitter account associated with this blog. Their first attempt, just after the dread pro say Kimberlin filed his Kimberlin v. Walker et al. Nuisance LOL suit, was an attempt to get the account banned for aggressive following as a result of having over 100,000 fake accounts follow at WJJ Hoge. It appears they did that this time by lying. And he has the official Twitter explanation for his being permanently banned. Hello. Your account was suspended because it was found to be violating the Twitter rules, specifically our rules around participating in targeted abuse. Your account will not be restored. Thanks, Twitter. Oh, heavens. Oh, the tears I cry when I think of all the times, and I'm constantly harangued over the number of Twitter accounts I've had because idiots like this have gone out of their way to try to keep me off of Twitter. How you like it? How's it feel? There was another one banished yesterday, but he's already back online and already reported. My irony meter caught fire and melted when that email came in. It certainly won't do my old account any good to complain, but it may help future victims of such cyber stalking if you make known your opinions of how Twitter enables such abuse. Probably the most effective way to communicate would be by snail mail to, and then he gives the address to the general counsel of Twitter, because he wants his readers to bother this woman over a righteous decision to shut down his Twitter account. His Twitter account in itself was not particularly egregious. What it linked to was systemic attack. Attacks on me, attacks on Brett Kimberlin, attacks on my friends Will Ferguson and Matt Osborne and folks like that. Every link on his Twitter page led to an attack blog. And that's what got him taken down. The hypocrisy of this man is beyond comprehension. Also, there's this. Which one do I want to do first here? Okay. Also from Hogwash. I'm not making this up, you know. The dreadful pro Sage Schmalfeld has filed yet another LOL suit in federal court. And then he's got it on the Scribd website so folks can read it for themselves. And he writes, given that there is a fatal error in this suit, and that I do not wish to educate the cabin boy, comments are disabled for this post. Well, that strikes me as a little odd. I tried suing Hoge and one other guy in federal court using the diversity statute once before, and there was a fatal error in it. I included Hoge in the diversity action when he lives in the same state as I do. Therefore, we had an invalid lawsuit. I'm only suing one person this time. And if it's a fatal error, that means it's one I cannot fix by filing an amended complaint. Just like I could not fix the previous one by filing an amended complaint. I would have had to sue Hoge and this other guy in two separate lawsuits, and I wasn't willing to do that. I'm only suing one guy. And if there really were a fatal error, it would certainly do no harm to tell his readership what that is. And now on the offending website, the Thinking Man Zombie, they're careering back and forth between threats to sue my wife for mailing the complaint to the courthouse and for handling my family finances, which such as they are, paying the rent, things like that. Yeah, a judge is gonna sue my wife, is gonna let you sue my wife. Well, first of all, you're not gonna do it because you'd have to reveal your identities to do it, and you're craven, spineless cowards. You won't reveal yourself. And secondly, the concept is just absolutely ridiculous. My wife is dying from the advanced stages of scleroderma, and she's in the other room right now, resting, watching TV. It's just not going to happen. Also, now they've started this thing where they comment and almost reveal something that is a fatal flaw in my lawsuit, but then they stop themselves. Or Grady stops them by saying, "Don't educate the monkey." Is Grady really that afraid that he's going to reveal something to me that I haven't already thought of? Really? And then there's this website. This guy lives, I think, in the Netherlands. He calls himself A View from NL. And this is called Free Legal Advice. And he quotes me. He says, "If it's a fatal flaw, that means there's nothing I can do to fix it, right? So how is telling you what the flaw is going to help me if it's a fatal flaw that I can't fix with an amended complaint?" Do you really think we're going to take your word that your legal botched abortion has been filed and the $400 filing fee paid? Well, it hasn't, as of the recording of this podcast, been posted on Pacer yet, but I assume it will be later today or sometime tomorrow. The courthouse was shut down because of the violence in downtown Baltimore, but I know they received it. And then he continues, "Bitch, you've gone out of your way to make us your enemies." I have never gone out of my way to make anybody an enemy. I don't have any enemies. I don't know you. How can I be your enemy if I don't know you? "We are not interested in helping you, you insufferable twat waffle. You want legal advice? Hire a fucking lawyer. Then shit your pants and wash it out of your tidy brownies with a foundation or with a fountain of fear pee when the lawyer explains to you just how badly you fucked up this time." Oh, I'm terrified. I'm absolutely terrified. This anonymous fuck says I fucked up my lawsuit. I better just call the judge and call the whole thing off. And then there's the comments. One from Dave Alexander, formerly Ukulele Dave. "My mom once called me an insufferable twat waffle, ergo you must be my mom." Your mother called you that? Really? Huh. You must be one horrible person. But anyway, Dave, wait your turn. I'll get to you. This is the Liberal Grouch, and we'll continue after this.
You are listening to the Liberal Grouch.
Waking up, stand on my feet, slept quite well through the nightmares. In the bathroom now I look at my meds. Who needs meds when you feel so alive? Put on my tie, get ready for work. Betrayed my passion for her sake. I've lost my grip on what's real and what's not, so I fight with some schmuck on the net. It's the lie of the liar, it's the throwing of crap. I don't care that I'm being sued for libel. On the net, I'm a warrior stalking prey to defame, and my boss doesn't know about the lies of the liar. Face to face, I would get beat, so I hide in the shadows. He thinks he's smart, but he's nothing next to me, with the danger that lurks in my mind. It's the lie of the liar, it's the throwing of crap. I don't care that I'm being sued for libel. On the net, I'm a warrior stalking prey to defame, and my boss doesn't know about the lies of the liar. Going home, wife's at the door. How's my day? What's the story? Mumbled something to that dream-killing bitch, going online where I feel alive. It's the lies of the liar, it's the throwing of crap. I don't care that I'm being sued for libel. On the net, I'm a warrior stalking prey to defame, and my wife doesn't know about the lies liar. The lies of a liar. The lies of the liar. The lies of a liar.
Hello once again. You may remember me from the series of child scam public service announcements we did to raise money to help care for children in far-off distant lands living in squalor and their own filth. Unfortunately, the Federal Trade Commission in Washington, D.C. has these rules about what percentage of your generous donations must be used to actually benefit the people we portend to benefit. Well, we have a new project now, and this one is called Won't You Save a Puppy? As you can see, I'm at an animal shelter. This could be any animal shelter in Chicago or Pittsburgh or Baltimore or Los Angeles. They're all the same. And this puppy I'm holding is an adorable 3-month-old pit bull named Bowser. And as you can see, he's just as friendly as they come. Look at him, his tail wagging, and I have to hold him back to keep him from licking the makeup off my face. Bowser's a good dog. Bowser deserves a good home. But that's impossible without your donations. So, to demonstrate what will happen to Bowser, I will pull this 9mm Glock from my holster, and I know it seems cruel. I know it seems heartless, but it's the same sort of thing that goes on every day at animal shelters across the country. Jim, hand me another puppy and put the total counter on the screen. Thank you. Now this, look at this adorable 4-month-old Border Collie. You know, Border Collies are the smartest dog known to man. They say that a Border Collie actually has the intellect of a 5-year-old when it's fully grown. The most intelligent dog there is. And look at how he took to me right away. He's just wagging his tail and just loving me up real good, this stinky, flea-covered Border Collie. He's even swatting at the barrel of my gun as if it was a toy. Jim, how much have we raised in the last, 30 seconds?
$500.
Oh, that won't do. If we don't reach $10,000 by the end of this commercial, I'm afraid... Did I say what this dog's name was?
I don't think you did.
Well, let's just call him Rover for now. Look at how he thinks the gun's a toy. Oh, goodness. And the shame of it is, you could save Rover with your monthly donation of $50 a day. $1 out of each of those $50 will be used to care for these puppies, these sweet, adorable, friendly little puppies. Jim, have we reached the...
No, we haven't.
I'm sorry, Rover. You see, you made me do that. You don't care about these puppies. These puppies may as well just be orphans in a refugee camp, as far as you're concerned. Get off your ass. You're sitting on your wallet. Dial 555 Puppy Help. That's 555 Puppy Help. And remember, if you don't help them, we will hurt them. Won't you help a puppy?
You are listening to The Liberal Grouch.
Bill Schmalfeld here with you once again. This is the Liberal Grouch podcast. That's why we call it that, because I'm the Liberal Grouch. It's my podcast, so this is the Liberal Grouch podcast. Now, the question has been raised among the community as to whether or not any of the acts outlined in my libel suit rise to the bar of actual libel or defamation or intentional infliction of emotional distress or false light defamation of character. So if you will permit me, I want to share a portion of my official complaint against Patrick G. Grady of Palatine, Illinois. I'll leave a lot of the legalese out, but let's go right to paragraph 8 here, where we begin the statement of facts. 8. To prove the tort of defamation in Maryland... Oh, by the way, I'll put some nice music behind this and make it a little less tedious, okay? All right, start the music. To prove the tort of defamation in Maryland, the plaintiff is required to show 1. That the defendant made a defamatory statement to a third person. 2. That the statement was false. 3. That the defendant was legally at fault in making the statement. And 4. That the plaintiff thereby suffered harm. A defamatory statement is one which tends to expose a person to public scorn, hatred, contempt, or ridicule, thereby discouraging others in the community from having a good opinion of or associating with that person. 9. To qualify as defamation per se, quote, in the case of words or conduct actionable per se, their injurious character is a self-evident fact of common knowledge, of which the court takes judicial notice and need not be pleaded or proved. In the case of words or contact actionable only per quad, that just goes on to say that in a per quad libel case, you have to prove that you've actually suffered damage of some sort. A statement which falsely charges a person with the commission of a crime is defamatory per se, as is a statement of unchastity or immorality, particularly against a woman. 10. Grady did engage in defamation per se as defined under Maryland law by making defamatory statements about Schmalfeld to his 1,000-plus daily readers of his blog, knowing these defamatory statements to be untrue. Grady was legally at fault for making the statements which have exposed Schmalfeld to public scorn from other bloggers who read and repeat the defamatory remarks to cause contempt and ridicule of Schmalfeld, and making it so his defamatory remarks appear toward the head of any Google search of Schmalfeld's name. It is defamation per se, since Grady writes about Schmalfelt fantasizing over having oral sex with his dead twin brother, because Grady refers to Schmalfelt's wife as an alcoholic truck stop whore, and because at one point Grady defines Schmalfelt as having syphilis. 11. The elements of false light invasion of privacy are as follows. One who gives publicity to a matter concerning another that places the other before the public in a false light and is subject to liability to the other for invasion of his privacy if A. the false light in which the other was placed would be highly offensive to a reasonable person, and B. the actor had knowledge of or acted in reckless disregard as to the falsity of the publicized matter and the false light in which the other would be placed. And then there's definitions of what publicity means and what highly offensive means. 12. The elements for intentional infliction of emotional distress are 1. Conduct must be intentional or reckless. 2. Conduct must be extreme and outrageous. 3. There must be a causal connection between the wrongful conduct and the emotional distress. And 4. Emotional distress must be severe. So here we go. First cause of action, defamation per se, paragraph 13. Schmalfelt realleges and incorporates every paragraph above. 14. In the days between early February and late March 2014, Grady was content to comment on Hoge's blog, making such defamatory statements as, that's what yesterday's cabin boy death poem was. Complete horse crap. I wouldn't believe the tremulous turd burglar if he told me water was wet. You see, now, that I cannot use as evidence because the statute of limitations for defamation is 1 year, and this would have been 1 year and several months ago. So let me keep that in mind as I go through these. Now, I will ask you also to keep in mind that this was filed on, or it was received at the court, I should say, yesterday, which would be the 28th of April. So anything before the 28th of April 2014 won't be admissible as defamation. But to prove Grady's existence, on April 18th, 2014, using the same members-only blog, Grady wrote about a visit from his local police department, occasioned by Schmalfelt calling them, after getting a tweet from Grady with a photo of Mr. Bill getting his head sawed off. He wrote this under the pseudonym Paul Krendler, even though this was an event in the life of Patrick Grady. Okay, now we're up to this year. Let's see here. Again, Schmalfelt asks the court to take notice of this comment posted as Patrick Grady. Oh, I have to go back a paragraph, because in what he wrote about a visit from the police officer, which falls outside the window of statute of limitations, he said, I told the officer how Fat Bastardson doxed me after I posted an innocuous comment on a particularly pathetic blog post. Again, Schmalfelt asks the court to take notice of this comment, posted as Patrick Grady on the Hogwash blog on February 19th, 2015, specifically his being doxed over an innocuous little comment, which, by the way, contained the word fat motherfucker. February 19th, this year. I've had something on my mind the last couple of weeks, but I've been much too busy with more important things to comment about it lately, It occurred to me recently that if I were on speaking terms with Bill Schmalfeld, I would like to ask him a question. Bill, given that a little over a year ago you chose to dox me over an innocuous little comment on a blog post about how horrible your 2013 was, if you were to look back over the past year since you did, would you say that as a result of that dox and all that has followed since, are you a happier man today than you were then? Okay. This next one will fall outside the statute of limitations, but this won't. Following is a list of defamatory, disgusting posts that will be largely listed by URL with explanations as to why they are defamatory. A post in May of last year in which he pretends to write as if he were me. In this post, I am ridiculed for being an overweight liar. Another post last May. In this post, he has me falsely accused of infringing a copyright. Also, in May last year, within the statute of limitations, this is him writing as me again. I love it when morbidly obese, cowardly ex-government functionaries who have slid by on the path of least resistance their whole miserable lives mock people who make an effort to be a positive force in their communities instead of being just another helpless calf who suffers from Parkinson's disease, the gate kind, sucking the government tit. From June 11th. In this post, he claims that I've written things about him that he did not write, such as admissions that his dying wife beats him, meaning me, that I crap my own pants and I make up lies about people, oh yes, and I am a thief. And November 16th last year, he explicitly suggests that I kill myself. And I am also referred to as a gay lover of anal sex who lied about his time in the military. December of last year, I'm referred to as a demented freak, and my picture is used without permission. Also December, I'm referred to as a corporophiliac, one who enjoys a nice handful of poop to play with. Writing as me again. This is good. And again, it's within the statute of limitations. 3 weeks from this coming Sunday will mark the 60th anniversary of the day I flopped head first through the waiting hands of the staff obstetrician and onto the delivery room floor at Lord Have Mercy Hospital in Hillary, Iowa. It was actually Mercy Hospital in Clinton, Iowa. I've been deported from countries all over the world. Not true. But I am an Iowan, born and bred, even if they no longer acknowledge me as such. Why would they acknowledge me as such? I live in Maryland now. Meredith Willson, in his wonderful musical, The Music Man, had it correct when describing the contrary nature of the natives of the Hawkeye State. We can be cold as our falling thermometers in December if you ask about our weather in July. And we're so by gosh stubborn, we can stand touching noses for a week and a half and never see eye to eye. Such is my nature. I am opinionated and contentious. These would be admirable traits if I were also informed or educated, but I was only blessed to think I'm smart, rather than actually be smart. I do not suffer people who remind me I'm a fool or who stand up to my bullying gladly. Alright, in January, I'm again accused of being an anal fetishist. In January, writing as me again, writing about the upcoming show cause contempt hearing. Here's where we stand. Well, sit, if we're going to be accurate. On January 30th, I have to be transported the 45 miles to Carroll County Circuit Court with a forklift and a flatbed truck to receive an ass whooping from a judge. This is a show my ass hearing, so I can humiliate myself once more before a judge while trying to explain why I should not be held in contempt of court for violating the no-contact portion of Hoge's ill-gotten peace order against me. I say ill-gotten because it's just so embarrassing to admit that I failed to follow through and check the court calendar to see that the appeal hearing was still on the docket. That would require me to admit that something was my fault. And as a 60-year-old man who's never before taken responsibility for anything I've done in my life, I can tell you I'm not about to start now. Again, I asked the court to note that the judge ruled in my favor. The post continues, I am of the, and this is still me writing, according to him, I am of the opinion that I shouldn't fart unless I am locked in a very small airtight closet with a tube stuck up my ass that runs straight up into a plastic bag over my head and tied around my neck so I can fully appreciate the mayonnaise bouquet. And when Walker saw what I was doing to Crendler, he immediately told Hoge to follow through on the peace order appeal. This ridiculous contempt charge has Walker's patented follow the law approach all over it, and Hoge's readers were not ready to A their gay tee-hee-hee little romp with my reputation either. These are people who want me dead. For instance, and then I include in Exhibit B some instances of people wanting me dead from Crendler or Grady's blog. Continuing to write as me, the top picture is my wife the day of her throat cancer surgery in 2012. The black eye is added by Howard, who refers to her as Sea Hag and the captive nurse, and he threatens to visit her after I am dead. Howard is the only person I can find who suggests that I should be dead, but he's so prolific and he skeers my weepy vagina so badly that he seems like a gang all by himself. Shut up, he's a gang, okay? Leave me the fuck alone. What do you expect, logic from me? Did you forget? I'm batshit crazy. I've explained in earlier podcasts how parody in a copyright case, it's a good defense for fair use. Parody in a defamation case, however, it ain't gonna fly. I'm not a public person. I'm a private person. You cannot defame me, call it fiction, and call it parody, or call it opinion. Alright, now we go to January 30th. And while the syphilitic catch fart could find the post that John made about that petition, so now I have syphilis. That would be defamation per se. In February, he announces the creation of Everyone Draw Bill Schmalfeld Day, which I included for the court. In February, he takes credit for placing my last name in the online Urban Dictionary. He also suggests adding additional words using the last name and scouring the internet for proof that I lied about my military service. March 26th of this year, he admits his mockery, defamation, and intentional infliction of emotional distress is done just for the amusement of himself and his readers. These are examples from his public site. His private members-only site is far more activist in looking for ways to cause distress and defamation. The entire secret blog has been saved from the trash can from whence Grady stashed it once he learned Schmalfeld had found his way into it. One can see it now at hoggypot.wordpress.com. And then I offer a 9-page exhibit, which is a world-class case of defamation per se. There are 3 elements necessary to prove a case for defamation that the defendant... Well, we went through that already. Moving past the legalese, the entire reason for the existence of these blogs is to give Grady a platform, one public, the other members only, from which to libel and defame Schmalfeld. The per se nature of the defamation is evidenced on the very face of Grady's many blog posts about Schmalfeld. If they were true, what community would not expel this vile stain on humanity from its midst? Yet Grady's loyal cadre of readers soak it up like sponges, yap for more, and assist Grady in finding new items with which to terrorize the Schmalfeld family. Second cause of action: false light invasion of privacy. Schmalfeld realleges and incorporates every paragraph above. False light is a term often used in the context of invasion of privacy claims, which involves presenting a person in such a way that leaves a negative and inaccurate impression about that person. And then I give some examples here. It demonstrates, these are from Grady, it demonstrates every day its inability to love its spouse half as much as it hates me, which may be 1/10 as much as it hates my friend John. It demonstrates every day its complete failure to consider the idea that it might sacrifice anything for the welfare of a person it claims to love. It demonstrates every day its diminished mental capacity in its inability to bring a minimal degree of focus to anything not having to do with its collection of perverse obsessions with me, in no particular order or importance of intensity: me, John Hoge, homosexuality, self-publishing, and podcasting as public humiliation, insulting all icky girls as proxies for the ones it was too terrified to look at, much less speak to in high school, all things related to human bio-waste management, and inserting its useless pea stick into the pooter holes, God help us, of poor defenseless Cub Scouts like this one. And then there is a picture of me in my Cub Scout uniform at 8 years old that I did not give him permission to use. In a post dated April 18th this year, Grady writes, "That's you, Bill. I thought I had better be explicit because you're such a pathetic idiot you might think I wasn't referring to the demented, trailer-dwelling, cyber-harassing stalker freak from Elkridge, Maryland. For the rest of the zombie horde, this is an open thread for us to discuss him right under his nose and make him dance like a funny little monkey. For example, what shade do you think his face is turning as he reads this? Pepto-Bismol? Breast cancer awareness? Prime rib, medium well? Medium rare? Dude, are you having a stroke? Or Hulk pants purple? I'd say he's right at raw hamburger, the 70% crap, not the 85% good stuff that's been sitting out for about 6 hours. So tell me, Bill, because I've never tried it, what does mayonnaise mixed with honey taste like when you lick it off your goo-covered little fingers? Third cause of action, intentional infliction of emotional distress. And then I reallege and incorporate blah, blah, blah. As stated above, the elements for intentional infliction of emotional distress are: conduct must be intentional or reckless, conduct must be extreme and outrageous, there must be a causal relation between the wrongful conduct and the emotional distress, and emotional stress must be severe. To be successful in a suit for intentional infliction of emotional distress, the emotional stress must be so great that no reasonable person could take it. There can be no question that Grady's behavior meets all of the criteria. Grady knew what he was doing. The more popular his blog became, the more delight he took in mocking me. Making the monkey dance is how he puts it. The extreme and outrageous nature of claiming that a person who does not even have a misdemeanor criminal record is a deranged cyberstalker, and repeating it often enough to have the effect of Google bombing Schmalfeld. That's antisocial behavior at its best. The repeated referral of Schmalfeld as a tremulous turd burglar, ironic mockery of Schmalfeld's Parkinson's disease, since Schmalfeld has the non-tremor variety of the disease. The other colorful nicknames employed over the past 15 months: dumb fuck, lying monkey vulva, a wife-beating sack of spongy penis meat. Is this how people talk to each other? Is this to be the acceptable norm in society? Or is somebody, somewhere, going to enforce civility on those who seem to lack the ability to moderate their own behavior from behind assumed anonymity? As Schmalfeld has demonstrated, just because a person is anonymous today, a skilled investigator with years of experience, motivated by stopping the hatred being displayed by certain elements of the blogosphere, that and patience will eventually find out who you are. Grady's mocking of Schmalfeld's struggle with Parkinson's and the sneering contempt displayed by Grady over Mrs. Schmalfeld's fatal condition moves Schmalfeld to contemplate taking matters into his own hands. But then he'd be the one in jail, and Grady would continue with the filthy lies. These quotes are from Grady's blog, dated April 22nd of this year. How's the beloved? Been spending a lot of quality time with her, You? Sad and miserable? Who would have ever thought that? And why would you so gladly oblige him? Why would you not, as you have said, be devoting yourself to time with Gail is the most important thing to me now more than ever? Oh, wait, now I remember. Because you're a lying monkey vulva who hates John Hoge more than you love your own dying wife. I suppose it shouldn't come to that, but how else are you going to prove to the intrepid internet reporters who write for money when they come asking tenacious questions about why you felt the need to punch your dying wife so hard it causes that sort of disfigurement? By the way, you have until the close of business Eastern Time today to prove me wrong, or you will force me to go ahead with my quite reasonable assumption that you beat the crap out of your wife because she left the mayonnaise jar open on the kitchen counter again, and the last time she did it is the reason behind that lovely wandering eye. Schmalfeld's wife was born with a left eye that is slightly off its axis medially. Common sense dictates that any man who loves his spouse is going to be moved to nearly violent anger by such expressions concerning his loved one whose days are numbered. From the same post. Update. I noticed that the wife-beating sack of spongy penis meat missed its deadline this afternoon, making him, by his own stated standard of evidence, where are you going to find that stated? Oh well. An admitted and confirmed domestic abuser. Who am I to argue with the pro tips and dirty tricks of the American Society of Professional Journalism, blah, blah, blah. On the same day as his hero, William John Hoge III, lost in his attempt to have me convicted for violating his peace order, February 16th, 2015, Grady wrote this. On the bright side, am I a high school loser, never made it with the ladies? Do my kids hate me? Is my wife a dying truck stop dolly? Do I live on a meager pension and disability? Am I a wannabe never was good enough to be washed-up radio host? Have I so thoroughly trashed my reputation over the past 10 years that I couldn't make a defamation suit stick to a refrigerator with an electromagnet? Do I live in a respectable or a recyclable box? Has the fun mine run dry? No, 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 and oh my heavens, no. And then I go on to ask for specific damages, but That's nothing we need to talk about right now. That's a long way away. Now you know the gist of the complaints I've shared with the court. Think about the complaints that will turn up in exhibits and in discovery as we continue with the Liberal Grouch.
You are listening to the Liberal Grouch.
I wanted to talk some about what's going on up in Baltimore today, but really there's not that much going on. Being of left-wing persuasion, I mostly believe that conditions will never change until industry and government invest in inner cities and invest in the kids growing up in those inner cities. As long as a 13-year-old feels that his only option is to join a gang and sell drugs, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get that kind of young thug, hoodlum, who doesn't think he's going to live to 25 anyway. And you need to train the police to not automatically assume that because someone is young and black that there must be a crime going on. For instance, when Ray, what was it? Let me get his name right. I want to make sure I get his name. Freddie Gray, that's it, was arrested that Sunday morning. It was for running away from the police. When did it become a crime to run away from the police when you haven't been arrested or confronted by the police? What if your upbringing has you so afraid of police from what you've seen them do to others that when you see a bunch of cops, you just turn tail and run? No, they used that as probable cause and chased him down, and he had a perfectly fine neck when he put them in the back of that van, but not so much when they took him out. So yeah, I can see the community being very, very angry about that. And I don't agree with it, but I understand the sense of hopelessness that leads to the looting and the rioting and the general breakdown of society. But you know what would fix a lot of that? Is to offer incentives to industry, to create jobs in the inner city, to penalize industry for taking jobs out of the country, overseas. No, you can't do that. Instead, you have to build your factory in the inner city of your choice. And you have to set up a training program in the high school teaching kids how to make a living by working in your plant. Oh, we'll give you the tax breaks, all the tax breaks you can imagine. Somebody has to start investing in these kids. Somebody has to start giving these kids a reason to stay alive. And somebody has to train our police officers across the country that walking while black is not a crime. I hear tell that Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders is going to enter the race for president. I don't think he has a chance to beat Hillary's machine, but until such time as he either withdraws from the race or decides to run as an independent, I announce my full-throated support for Senator Bernie Sanders as our next president. Now, one more point and then we're done. Hoge WJJ Hoge of Westminster, Maryland, likes to employ this statement a lot. He enjoys saying, Morum aries attigit, which is Latin, and I probably mispronounced. And its background comes from Julius Caesar and the Gallic Wars, in which Caesar made it known to the residents of the city he was going to destroy that he was more than happy to accept their unconditional surrender. Throw your weapons over the wall, and nobody gets hurt. But the moment the battering ram touches the wall, there will be no negotiating. There will be no mercy. There will be no surrender. Hoge, fancying himself a modern-day Julius Caesar, as you see in the little thumbnail photo that goes with today's blog, uses that phrase a lot. Every time he's put me in jail so far, he's reminded me that the ram has touched the wall. Except he hasn't managed to put me in jail or find me guilty of anything. Odd, isn't it? The ram has touched the wall. That was the old-time Roman battle call. And what that meant was that you must surrender your weapons tender, and Caesar would let you live. But all that matters, the ram that batters, once it touches your walls, he won't forgive. The ram has touched the wall. And in the old days that meant towns would fall. But nowadays some guy who thinks he's Caesar, this wheezing geezer, who thinks he's smarter than all, up to his neck in shit, he don't know when to quit. The ram has touched the wall. The ram has touched the wall. The ram has touched the wall, and that must surely mean the end of all of our concerted efforts to negate all the filth and hate and to give up without a fight. Yet every pervert will feel the butt hurt when they see I've got them dead to rights. The ram has touched the wall, but the specific ram, he's got no balls. And all that he can do is sit and mumble and break and crumble, 'cause he's behind the 8 ball. He may not know it yet, but he will soon regret. The ram has touched the wall. The ram has touched the wall, but it is not the wall he thought would fall. The chowderhead who causes agitation through defamation, I'll see him soon here in court. This snotty whiner, a palatiner, better hope that I'm the forgiving sort. The ram has touched the wall. It turned out not to be a ram at all. Who would have guessed that stupid right-wing creeps would show up with sheep? In fact, the ram was a lamb, and you should hear them cry. Now that we've caught the lie, oh, the wall has touched the lamb, poor little sheepy. The wall, the wall, the wall, the wall, the wall has crushed the lamb.
All right, everybody simmer down. Simmer down, it's time for the briefing. He said shut up. All right then. We have some new directives sent down from headquarters. No doubt some of you have been following the news and you heard that the Staten Island grand jury came back with the no true bill against that brave Staten Island police officer what choked that big black fellow to death for selling cigarettes. And that kind of goes hand in hand with what we saw down there in, where was that again?
Ferguson, Missouri.
Oh, yeah, right. Ferguson, Missouri. That's by St. Louis there. This continues a trend that began in Florida when that Zimmerman guy put a couple rounds in that kid who was walking while black and wearing a hoodie. So the department, in its wisdom, says that we don't got to worry no more about shooting black people or killing them or whatever else, since nobody else seems to care.
Are you saying that we got license to kill whoever black guy we want, Sergeant Gronkowski?
No, you knucklehead. They got to be committing some kind of crime first. Or at least you got to suspect they're committing a crime. Let me see if I can put it this way for you. Make it a little easier for you to understand the complex nature of the situation that I am bringing to your attention at the briefing today. Grab his throat, and just like that, watch him drop down to the doorstep. Give yourself a treat, leave him dying there in the street. If a perp starts talking back, he will stop when he's been led swept. Put a toe tag on his feet, leave him bleeding there in the street. When a black guy you kill, know that a grand jury will never send out a true bill. Don't chase him, just waste him. There's no need to drop a gun. There's no need to concoct stories. Like a slab of meat, leave him bleeding there in the street. Grab your Glock and bust a cap. That's community policing. Give yourself a treat, leave him dying there in the street. He can't say he wasn't trapped with his temperature decreasing. You just made him obsolete. Leave him bleeding there in the street. They cry no justice, no peace, but all those protests will cease when their numbers decrease. They're looting, start shooting, and they'll finally learn their place. Peace and quiet, no more riots. Make them feel the heat, leave them bleeding there in the street. All right, you bunch of chowder heads, knock it off. Get out there on the streets and let's be safe out there, okay?
You are listening to The Liberal Grouch.
Bill Schmalfeld here. Don't forget, you can always get in touch with me on Twitter at GrouchyOldLib. That's at GrouchyOldLib. What else we got for you? Well, we've got our website, which is liberalgrouch.podomatic.com and liberalgrouch.blogspot.com. See you next time.
You have been listening to The Liberal Grouch Podcast. The Liberal Grouch is hosted by Bill Schmalfeld through the services of Podomatic and can be heard at liberalgrouch.podomatic.com. You can reach the Grouch on Twitter at GrouchyOldLib. That's one word, at GrouchyOldLib. He also maintains a presence on Spreaker at www.spreaker.com/BloodyMike. So, until next time, stay safe, and remember,
It is later than you think. And that's the truth.
The Liberal Grouch is a copyright feature of Bill Schmalfeld, copyright 2015, all rights reserved.